Okie dokie. Finally, I'm able to make this video. In order to make this video, it took a lot of time. I had to go through and delete a lot of pictures and videos. I do want to go ahead and say I apologize for the beeping. There is a fire alarm somewhere in this house that I guess needs a battery. I have looked low and high. I cannot find this thing. I rent a room here and got back from Blade, and there is a beeping that we just got to deal with. So anyway, this is going to be a 3-part video. This is going to be part 1. I've been wanting to make a video going in depth on this Brian Ty tiebreaker that I got at Blade Show, Texas. So these are all my Blade Show knives. This is from Blade Show, Texas, the Brian Ty. And then the 2 here are from Blade Show, Atlanta. And with the bead, I will get to that too. That is a custom knife factory collab bead that they did. And so I will talk about this probably when I do the Eagle Rock video. So let's get into it. All right, so Blade Show was definitely amazing. It was very overwhelming, to say the least. There was a lot of people that I wanted to make sure that I saw, and thanks to Winter, she actually had a list, and she kind of helped steer me along like a cattle. Like, hey, blinders, put your blinders on. We got a list. We got to stay focused. So thanks to her, I was able to see most of everybody that I wanted to see. And yeah, if I were to start talking about all that, then that would be a whole nother video entirely, which I will do. I was on the floor for 9 hours at Blade Show, so I have a lot of footage to go through and make into wanting to do part 1, 2, and 3 of Blade Show, and that's going to take a lot of time, a lot of editing. So I will get to it. So I've got a little bit of time today. I wanted to at least get this one done. So what we have here is the Fanatic Edge Omen. So I first saw this knife a while back and immediately fell in love. This style of knife is me all day. The blade shape, handle shape, everything about it just really speaks to me personally. I love a good recurve. I love a good tanto. Everything about this knife it's just me. So there was a few different knives that I was really wanting to get at Blade Show, and one of those was an Omen. It definitely made the list. So when I ran into Fanatic Edge, I pretty much just went ahead and bought this. This was the first purchase I made, and on their website, these run $600. You can get cheaper ones without the Damasteel. At Blade Show, this cost me $500, which I thought was a really, really great price for what you're getting. These are made by Riot. If you're familiar with anything Riot makes, Riot, they are a Chinese company, but they're just about probably the best OEM that I know of. OEM just means they are the people who made the knife. Elijah Isham, the late Elijah Isham, designed this knife. I'm not sure when, but Fanatic Edge is a company that does modding, and as far as I know, this is their only knife. This is a Fanatic Edge knife. They do, like I said, they do modding work, and they've got, hands down, the best Chavez 229 kickstops. They've got the coolest kickstops out there. They've got several different styles. They did milling, ano, the whole bit. So definitely check out Fanatic Edge. They've got some sweet stuff, and I think their anno work is about as good as it gets. They have the most impressive anno I've seen, and I went with the purple one. Purple's my favorite color, and when I was at the Fanatic Edge table and I saw all their knives, I had decided I was going to get a Damasteel. They have their Damasteel, so they've got their standard Omen, which is just going to be titanium with, I'm not sure the blade steel, but not Dama. And so you've got those, and then you've got their Damasteel version, and some of their non-Dama versions even had thumb studs on them. I would like to have a thumb stud on this. If I could get a thumb stud put on this, I totally would. Even better would be a fuller. If I could get a fuller or like a Spidey hole situation on here, I think that would be awesome. So anyway, and then they had the Damasteel lineup, and I just asked Winter. I said, which is your favorite of these? And she picked this purple one. So I went with the purple one. And when I got it, it was perfect. But now, after being in my pocket and being carried for a while, it already has some small little scuffs on it. You can see right there in the middle there, we've got a scuff. I've got a little bit of, see right there, kind of scuffed that a little bit. And then the pocket clip too. When you've got anno as vibrant as this, it's pretty hard to not get any sort of noticeable wear on it. It's just part of it. You get something like this and you're going to carry it. It is going to get snail trails and little scuffs and whatever. But that's always something too that you can always fix. I could send this in and get it anode. I might even eventually one day change the colors. I might go with something different. Who knows? This is a knife that I'm going to keep. I decided on the way back from Blade Show that I have gone through hundreds and hundreds of knives that I've owned, I've traded, I've sold it, whatever. But my Blade Show stuff is kind of special to me. So my Blade Show stuff I will not be getting rid of. So yeah, when you make a decision to keep something forever, kind of when you get little scuffs on it and whatever, it doesn't really bother you as much. So anyway, I've gone on long enough. Let's talk about this knife and why it's special, and let's just go over everything about it. So we've got a really sharp hollow grind here on the recurve. This is going to be a great cutting tool. Let me just to give you an example. This Brian tie that I got, I don't feel like it wasn't like super sharp. Of course, it's sharp enough to cut to do what you need to do, but as far as like hair shaving sharp, like literally, I don't want to cut any more arm hair off. You can see that right there. That's like from one pass. So this thing is extremely sharp right out of the box. Except for with Fanatic Edge knives, you don't get a box. You get a pouch. Not even a pouch. It's just like a little. It is a pouch, but when I say pouch, I think of something like this, where it's, like a taco pouch. It is not that. It's just a little, like a drawstring type pouch. It's a really cool pouch. I don't know why I don't have it here with me, but you get that. There's no serial number. There's no COA or anything like that. So anyway, we've got a really nice hollow grind here. And it is a compound grind, meaning that we go from a hollow grind to a flat grind at the tip, which is usually the case of a lot of Tontos. I don't want to say all Tontos, but it's definitely not unheard of, especially with Riot. Riot does a really good compound grind. If anybody is familiar with the 229 Tonto and Drop Point, they both have a pretty good compound grind on them from hollow to flat. This blade does need a nice stropping. I don't have a strop. I probably should. I've got a little work sharp, little field sharpener that's got a like a ceramic sharpener thing where you just kind of when I find that, I don't know where it's at, but that'll be able to get out most of these little, you can kind of see right there a little bit of a, looks like a burr. I'm not sure if that's a burr or not, but it'll get that right out. Yep, it is a burr. I'm not sure how that happened, but that's no big deal. I could fix that up pretty easily. So, action. Action on this, when I got it, it was pretty stiff. It was actually really stiff, but I've got it tuned up just like I like it now. Ow! Got home, took it apart. My standard cleaning process involves just taking it apart, and typically I'll take the washers out, depending on how, I mean, if it's not bad, I won't do that, but with this one I did. I'll take the washers out, take everything apart, and then I'll get a Q-tip with some alcohol and just kind of clean everything up. Then I'll dry it up a little bit with the dry end of the Q-tip, and then I'll put the washer back on, and then I will put maybe 2 drops of KPL and kind of smear it around. Then I'll put the bearing on, maybe a drop on top of the other side of the bearing, maybe not, and then do the same thing with the other side. So once I did that, the action was pretty nice. I also got this, this is a NAFS little tool. Didn't want to focus. This is a NAFS little driver, which I've wanted one of these for a while. These are 25 bucks. For 25 bucks, you can't beat it. It's got your typical setup. It's got a flat head. It's got a Phillips. Actually, I'm just now seeing, I thought it had a Phillips on here. It does not. It's got a flat head. It's got a T6 and a T8. And this thing's pretty cool. A little fidget toy, actually. It's a lot of fun. But what I like most about it is I've got the Weeha little bit driver. It's about this big, and you can pop the top off, and it's got all your bits in it from T6 to T12. But those bits will not fit in here. Look at that. Is it like a freaking mirror in there? I'm stupid, dude. It's just a little magnetic bit. So, what I like about this a lot, I've got this iFixit set, which I would pick, if I had to pick between iFixit or Weeha bit set, I would choose the iFixit set any day of the week. Weeha is good, and Weeha is real good with their customer service. I've had a couple of their bits kind of bend and become not so great, and you let them know, they'll send you new bits. They sent me 4 bits when I had messed up a T8, which was really cool. But with this one, iFixit, you've got all this stuff here, and you can actually go bigger, you can go smaller. I like it a lot. It's got this little tray, magnetic tray, that you can either attach to the bottom or close it. But what I'm getting at here is this little bit here, or not bit, this little driver here, you can put your iFixit bits in it, which is pretty awesome. So what I've been doing, I've just been keeping all this stuff on the side in there. And actually what I'm going to do right now that I think about it, I'm going to take this flathead out, because I've already got the Olight pry bar. It's got a T6, T8, Phillips, and flat. And I'm going to go ahead and put in a T10. Gonna stick that right there. There you go. The reason I want a T10 in here is because that's what I need for this Eagle Rock. So anyway, there's that. So I'm sorry, I get off track pretty easily. So this is a T8 on the Omen. So with the Omen, you can make it to where if you tighten it up to where it is perfectly centered, like it is there, the action's going to be about like that. Still very smooth, but it's not as drop sheddy as it could be. All you got to do, literally just loosen it a tiny bit. It's still pretty much centered, but it's maybe a hair's, it's just hard to focus. So you can see right there, it is a tiny bit off-centered. As long as it's not, see, perfect. That's about the perfect action right there. Not a total guillotine. I prefer, from the one I just showed you where it's tightened and it requires a little bit of help to straight guillotine, right there in the middle is where I like it, which is right here. Perfect hydraulics. It's just perfect. I love it. We have a hint of blade play, but not enough to bother me. And again, if you want zero blade play at all, just tighten it up. That's it. Zero blade play. So, yeah, action. Phenomenal. When I first got it, like I said, the action was pretty rough. Keep in mind it was at Blade Show and it had probably been handled by 35 people, opened 1,000 times, you know, whatever. So I expected it to be kind of rough, but got home, took it apart, cleaned it up, lubed it up, got as tight as I liked it, and now it's perfect. Ergos. It looks kind of funky, but ergos are fine. Ergos are great, actually. Very comfortable in the hand. I like the groove up here. It works as a little thumb ramp if you so choose. There is zero jimping on here, which I'm totally fine with. Jimping is not a necessity for me by any means. So ergos are great. What I most like, though, as far as ergos go, and something that kind of makes or breaks a knife for me, is how well is it balanced. The ergos can be great, like the J-Cape, for instance. I recently got a J-Cape V4 from a pre-order. It's the first J-Cape I ever owned, and I was really excited about it. I've held a J-Cape before, but I never owned one. I've never got to really do more than just a passing, oh, hey, check this out, oh, it's nice, whatever. But the J-Cape, the ergos are fantastic, but the balance is way off. You've got this massive hunk of a handle, and the blade is just really pretty thin, and the balance is way off. So it feels like, you know, it just feels like I'm holding it up because it's like it's so heavy down here. It just doesn't feel right in the hand. Extremely comfortable, but when it's perfectly balanced, when you're holding it, it just feels better. You can feel, it just feels like it's balanced. McNeese does a great job of balancing his knives. McNeese knives are always, every one I've ever had, which is quite a few. I've probably owned 6 to 8 McNeese, and they're all absolutely perfect as far as balance goes, and really every other regard. But when a knife is unbalanced, it really, you know, it's an issue. It's an issue as far as, it's not an issue as far as it's not going to work well, it's, you know, whatever else. It's just, you know, it could be better. The J-Cape, I feel like that would be a whole nother video, and I don't have a J-Cape on me to make that video. When I got my J-Cape, I immediately waffled it off so that I could get Blade Show funds. And with that money, I was actually able to get this. And so I would rather have this than a J-Cape, honestly, just because this is more of a me style knife. They're both made by Riot, both great knives, but me personally, I would rather have this Omen. And the Omen is also not something that a lot of people know about. They're not as big as like J Cave or Chavez 229 or whatever. So a lot of people are not familiar with the Omen, but I love it. From the first time I saw one of these, I was like, I want one. I've got to get one of those. So, okay, ergos, balance. What else is there? Let's talk about the pocket clip. The pocket clip is fine. We've got a milled clip there. In and out of the pocket is pretty easy. I'm not wearing jeans, so it's not. That's what it looks like in the pocket. You know, nothing crazy. It's not a deep carry. You can reverse it though, it looks like. Well, no, you can't actually. I was going to say you could actually move this down here, but you cannot because the screws are separated differently. So that's where the clip's at, and that's where the clip will stay. We've got 0 internal milling, but it's pretty thin. It's not very heavy. I'd say this is probably maybe 4.5 to 5 ounces. Yeah, I don't know. I think I've said about all I can say about this knife. It's a great knife. I love it. I'd like to own another one, honestly. So they've got 3 levels of Omen. They've got the standard Omen. I almost got a blacked out one. They had a blacked out one. I'm not sure if it was PVD or what. I'm going to assume that it was PVD, not Cerakoted, but that one had studs on it. Black blade, black handle, black everything, and it was $400. And I said, man, I think it's even more expensive. Actually, I'm not sure what it cost on their website. I actually want to say I looked this morning and it was a little bit cheaper than $400, but that one also didn't have studs. Yeah, great little knife. I'm actually surprised I forgot about this. This is like a pretty big thing. The only complaint that I have about this knife is the flipper tab. That flipper tab, what could you compare it to? I would compare it to a Hinderer XM18. I had a Hinderer XM18 and it was great. I loved it. That's a whole nother story about Hinderer as a whole. I actually saw Hinderer at Blade Show and they had an Eclipse that I really loved. You'll actually see it in my Blade Show footage if you watch through all of it. But the Hinderer flipper tab is sharp and pointy like that. And the detent is so heavy on here. It is a heavy... Look at that. That's a heavy detent. So when you've got that heavy of a detent and a pointy, you know, after a while it kind of starts to, you know, it's not pleasant. It's not pleasant to open it at all, which is one of the reasons why I would like a fuller tab or a thumb stud so I could have other ways to deploy it. And I might actually look into getting them to add some studs on here. I bet they would freshen up the ano for me. I probably will end up doing that, and I would probably even go so far as to make this custom. And what I would probably do, I've got an Arius right now that's with knife modders that should be done within the next couple weeks. They've got an Arius right now, and they are blacking it out totally, and the only color on the knife is going to be on the internals. If you've ever seen the inside of an Arius, there is a bunch of weight reduction milling pockets, or milled pockets, like whatever, for weight reduction. That's why an Arius probably weighs less than this, even though it's way bigger. It's because there is so much milling inside. So anyway, the thing's going to be all black, and then I'm having them do the pockets themselves. They're going to be purple. And the detent ball screw, lock bar insert, whatever you want to call it, that screw right there is going to be a matching purple. So there will be hints of purple in it. And so what I would like to do on this, if I did send it in, I would probably get some studs added. I would get some purple studs. I would leave the pivot, I would leave that purple. I would probably get the outsides blacked out, purple pivot collar. Not a pivot collar. Maybe they could make the collar. The collar is that black circle around it. If that's titanium, which I'm sure it is, they could anode that. So if that was the case, then I would have it totally black, and then I would have the collar purple, and then the pivot itself would be black, and then I would leave the insides, I would leave them the purple that they are. So I think that would be really cool. I've always had the idea of doing a knife to where the internal is a different color than the outside. So that's what I'm finally doing with my Arius, and I would like to see that on this knife and maybe other knives. So yeah, my one complaint on this is the flipper tab. If they were to have done it just like that, much more pleasant. Yeah, apart from that, I don't have anything negative to say about this knife. I think the price is good. I think the value is good. As far as Chinese-made knives go, I think Riyadh is about as good as it gets. There are other Chinese companies out there that make great knives. There's Best Tech. There's Reich Knife. Reich Knife makes an awesome knife too. An example of Reich Knife quality would be the SOCOM Bravo by Microtech and the Annex, which are both amazing knives. I think that those are about the best knives for the money, period, out there at all. But so Riyadh makes a great knife. So does Reich Knife. Yeah, nobody can mess with Riyadh quality. Riyadh does a great job. So there you have it, folks. Fanatic Edge Omen and Damascus Steel. Yeah, hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions, let me know, and I will be coming out. Next video that I do, this is the Custom Knife Factory Terzula designed Eagle Rock. And this was my main purchase. And like I said, I'll make a whole nother video on that, but I have never owned a CKF before. I've never even handled a CKF before. And I feel like that video will be probably a little bit longer, but there is definitely a lot to talk about with this guy here. Somebody asked me how I liked it, and my answer was pretty simple. I handled hundreds of knives, and this is the one that I went with. So it wasn't my first choice. It wasn't even my second or third choice. But everything I really wanted was gone. And I got there relatively early on Friday. I got there, it had been open for a couple hours. But then Saturday came along, and everybody, like Koenig and McNeese, they had brought stuff for day 2 as well. So when I saw McNeese on day 1, he said, don't be too upset. I've got a couple stuff that I'm going to be putting out tomorrow. So if you really want it, make sure you get here early. And I did. I got there as early as I could. Even still getting there, they opened the doors at 9, and even getting there at 8:30 or so, there was a line literally that went outside into the parking lot. And I didn't get in the doors till probably 9:15. And McNeese had already sold everything he brought. He had 4 knives on day 2 that I was wanting to get one of. He had 3 Tontos, and he had one that had speed holes in it that was a drop point. And I would have really loved to have any of those. And when I walked up on Saturday, he was boxing up the last Tonto, and I freaking fell to my knees, dude. I was upset. I was so upset, man. I was like, dude, what now? So then I went to the Koenig table, and Koenig had a line that was so far, and yeah, good luck getting one of those. Koenig had brought some mini goblins for day 2, and I would have absolutely loved to get a mini goblin. I would have liked even more to get a DLC Arius, but even the DLC Ariuses were over $1,000, which is just insane, man. So Only way I could have got one of those would be if that would have been my only purchase. I would have had to have not gotten this, but I really wanted to get 2 knives this time around. So, you know, it is what it is. Even if I wouldn't have got this, I wouldn't have been able to get a mini goblin or an Arius because they were freaking gone. Now, I could have gotten an Arius, but I couldn't have got the Arius that I wanted. And being that I already own an Arius, I wasn't that upset about it, but I really wanted a McNeese. And I had a McNeese actually waiting on me at home that got sent to me. It was a blue frag uh, that I had wanted one of those for so long, but due to unforeseen circumstances, I had to get rid of that thing. So I put it up for a waffle, and that was the quickest waffle I ever filled. And so I'm going to mail that out today. So anyway, I am planning to go to Blade Show West in Salt Lake City, and I will be camping out for that one. Probably won't camp out for day one, but knowing that everybody brings stuff for day two as well, I will probably camp out Friday night so that I am the first person in there, or one of the first people in there on day two, so I can get me something I really want. Now, both of these are obviously awesome knives, but the Fanatic Edge Omen, there was zero shortage of those. They had so many of these things, dude. And that's one of the benefits of going with an OEM like Riot. They're going to have hundreds to choose from. But somebody like McNeese or Koenig, who do all their stuff in-house, they can only make what they can make. So it's like, you know, people that got any if you see anybody that got a McNeese Tonto, even a McNeese 3.5, or if you see the person who got the speed holes, they were freaking committed, dude. They had to sleep outside. So they literally, there's people that became homeless for a few days just to get the knife they wanted. So Blade Show West, I will hopefully be able to save a little bit more money and be able to get something I really want. So definitely happy about these purchases though. And this knife too, like I said, this was $600 on their website, so I got a good deal on it. I will keep it though, it's not going anywhere, as I will keep everything else that I bought. So looking forward to making those videos. This bead that I got, let me just go ahead and show it. So this bead right here is a collab between, I don't know. I know it's CKF and 2 other people. They all got together and made this bead. You can take it apart. It's really freaking cool. So I had originally bought this to do for a giveaway. Not a giveaway, but for a charity waffle that we're doing. That's what I had originally bought it for. It came with this really cool pouch. Cost $100. But when I ended up getting the Tarzula Eagle Rock, I figured I would just keep it and put them together because we got Zerkatai with Zerkatai. So anyway, that's all I got today, or for now at least. I hope everybody has a great day, and I'll see you next time.